President Moon also attended the South Korea-Singapore Business Forum as well as the dinner banquet hosted by the Singaporean president on Thursday. Our Blue House correspondent Hwang Ho-jun has more.
A friendship that is solid as gold and sweet as a fragrant orchid. That is how President Moon described the close friendship between Seoul and Singapore during a state banquet hosted by the Singaporean President Halimah Yacob.
저는 오늘 이 난초를 통해서 싱가포르와 한국 간에 금난지교가 맺어졌다고 생각합니다.
It was a nod to an earlier event that President Moon and his wife, First Lady Kim Jong-suk, attended at the Singapore Botanic Gardens, where a newly cultured orchid was named after the first couple. On Thursday afternoon, in front of about 300 business leaders from both countries gathered at Singapore's Shangri-La Hotel, President Moon also called for Singapore's active support for his new southern policy, especially with Singapore chairing the 2018 ASEAN Summit. It was November last year when the South Korean president first introduced his vision to, quote, dramatically strengthen Seoul's cooperation with ASEAN nations by focusing on the 3 Ps: people-centered exchanges, mutual prosperity, and peace. President Moon highlighted 3 ways to bring about future-oriented cooperation between the 2 countries. He first said Korea and Singapore will secure future growth engines together in response to the 4th Industrial Revolution, especially by promoting the active participation of small businesses and innovative startups in the process.
싱가포르의 혁신 역량과 자본력에 한국의 세계적인 정보통신 기술이 결합하면 큰 시너지 효과를 만들어낼 수 있을 것입니다.
The president also emphasized that bilateral economic cooperation must work effectively to benefit the people of both countries, and that South Korea and Singapore must work together to prevent the spread of protectionism, noting that the foundation for the 2 countries' economic growth has been free trade and openness. President Moon Jae-in ended his speech with the expression Majulah Singapura, Malay for Onward Singapore. Even during the business forum, President Moon asked again for Singapore's continued support for establishing lasting peace on the Korean peninsula. He stressed if South Korea and Singapore go onward, or Majulah together, not only Korea but the entire ASEAN will enjoy peace and co-prosperity. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News, Singapore.